What is going on, guys? Joey Friends here at Flex Training Systems and 30 billion in the Twitch chat. Today we are talking about how much bodybuilding work you should be doing to complement your powerlifting training. Right? I'm going to address some things that literally make me go insane because people are constantly saying it and they don't know what they're talking about. Some of this was the chat helped compile some of the questions here or topics or whatever, and we're just gonna go through it. To be honest, as you guys know, a lot of my videos are inspired by things or interactions or questions that people get watching my man Russ. For those of you that don't know, he started streaming on Twitch, and as I was watching his stream, there was a lot of people in the comments kind of talking about this topic, so I wanted to kind of go through it on here. Oh my god, just to give you guys a better, just so the video could be out there, and then when people ask, I just like send them to the video, you know what I mean? So that being said, first thing I want to say in regards to bodybuilding work or just training in general is that all work that you do, right, whether that's a bicep curl or a bench press or a barbell squat or a leg press or tricep press down or a seated military press, all of that work is going to build muscle. All of it, right? All of that will build your body, right? The thing is, the big compound lifts, they pretty much cover most bases, but there's little things here and there that you're going to want to supplement to enhance your powerlifting training, right? Or just to cover some weaknesses, because if you don't, then eventually over time, from only doing the big three, it is possible potentially for you may develop some pain, you may have some weaknesses, you might hit a grinder on a lift and the weight might shift in a way and you don't have any power coming from another area to sort of help you through that lift. There's a lot of different like weird things that can happen, maybe on a misgroove or whatever. But if you have a complete individual, like a complete body, a complete organism, you've built up your body, you spend a lot of extra time working on areas, not only the power lifts individually, like the muscles associated with the power lifts, but like for example, like things that don't really get hit too much. In powerlifting, we don't do any like horizontal pulling, right? We do horizontal pressing, which is the bench press, but there is literally nothing that we're doing where you are, where your chest is vertical and you are pulling, to your chest, or if you're laying down, you're pulling down or whatever, right? There's nothing like that. Lats are involved. Like if you look at someone with their shirt off when they're deadlifting, you're gonna see like lats activate, but it's not a prime mover, right? So like it can be extremely beneficial. I've already talked about why having a big back helps you on all three, just for stabilization. If on low bar you're going to be able to secure the bar better on your back, it's going to fit nice between your traps and then right on your rear delts. If you have a nice big strong back, you're going to be able to have you guys ever seen like a big bodybuilder dude that like they don't even squats is like a once a month thing, right? It's like part of their rotation, but they don't do it too often, twice a month, whatever. And they just like unrack big weight, and it doesn't like, they just can handle it really well because their body is so built all around. Right? On bench press, if you have a strong back, it's going to help you stay more stable. Obviously, you're going to be able to maintain your arch better. You can keep your shoulder blades pinned back. The more you have it's like such a weird term, but that mind muscle connection, like there's a lot of people, for example, they can't like, they don't know how to flex their lats. They just don't know how to do it. If you say, hey, flex your lats, like they can't do it. They just don't know how to make that connection. So you're just going to have better control over your body when you kind of build these areas up and you're used to like knowing what it feels like to activate them, right? And then on squat, so we talk about squat, that, and then on deadlift, obviously, if you have a super strong back, you're going to be more stable. You're probably not going to get injured as much. You're going to maintain yourself throughout the lift more than someone who has a very weak, flimsy back, right? Not to mention, anytime you train your back, right, which is where the most, in my opinion, most of your bodybuilding work should be focused on upper body pulling, either vertical pull down, horizontal pulls, right? You're gonna be working your grip the entire time, assuming you're not using straps. You're gonna be working your grip the entire time, having a solid grip or just more durable hands, wrists, all that stuff, biceps. It's gonna help you in the big three, right? So how much bodybuilding work should you be doing? That's going to depend. For me personally, I give all my lifters, all my programs, literally every single one of my programs, unless there's like for example, I don't know if you guys remember Abby. My good friend Berto does her nutrition, and I think he gave her a list of bodybuilding stuff to handle. So she has a list of bodybuilding work to supplement to her power lifts. I still give her like some bodybuilding stuff because I'm like, hey, like even though you have that, I want you to do this, right? And it can be complicated when you have kind of two people working on one person, but I always prescribe the amount of bodybuilding work that I need to get done. Like, okay, you need to do this mandatory, and then if you want to add extra on top of that, let's see if you can handle what I'm giving you first. And then, you know, things I'm usually not going to contest people over too hard is like if you want to add extra arms, if you want to do extra shoulders, the lateral head of your delts, even though we do work a lot of that stuff. You know, a lot of that I'm perfectly fine with. I'm not going to say, oh man, the reason you didn't hit that squat was because you did arms too much the other day. You know what I mean? So your bodybuilding work should be done to complement the main lift and add to what is lacking on your powerlifting focused work, which is this line obviously right here. So for example, if you're hitting squat, bench, and deadlift, right? What are you neglecting? Like I said, your lat pull downs, you can add in lat pull downs, you can add in pull-ups. Pull-ups are going to tax your core a little bit more. But like I like seated rowing type motions. So horizontal pulls, right? And so horizontal pulls and vertical pulls. You could add extra bicep work. I don't know for sure, but I have heard that people say like, hey, I used to have like shoulder pain and bicep tendonitis. Your bicep tendon is actually up here in your shoulder. It like connects from your bicep up into your shoulder. And they think that doing more bicep work helps. I don't know conclusively that helped me, but I mean, I throw arms in here and there just for like, you know, it's just if you're training everything around your bicep, but you're not hitting your bicep, it might be good to add a little bit of bicep work, right? Really, it helps for injury prevention. On lower body, I try not to do too much extra additional accessory work. Like you don't need to do leg extensions. You don't need to do hamstring curls. You could argue that hamstring curls is working a different part of the hamstring. It's not the same. Like if you think of a deadlift, it's almost like you're working the top down, whereas the hamstring curl is doing the bottom up. So that's like it might reinforce the area, but might not necessarily help you add to your deadlift. Also, that stuff takes time. It takes energy. You can overdo it, so you have to be careful. You should know once you kind of go through a prep a couple times, you'll know what you'll be able to handle. But bodybuilding work can also be seen as another form of energy expenditure. Somebody asked in the chat something about dieting. You know, like let's say you're dieting and like you're getting really low on food. Should you be doing your bodybuilding work, or is that going to be too much? I would say in the beginning you should be able to do all your bodybuilding work fine, and it's actually another form of I think, like for example, if you had someone that did powerlifting only, they just did powerlifting and cardio, and then you had someone that did powerlifting and bodybuilding, additional bodybuilding work after that. Like I said, everything. Like when people say, oh, I want a power building program, not a powerlifting program. Well, a good powerlifting program should have these auxiliary movements in it to supplement the competition lifts. But the person that does the bodybuilding work as somewhat of a form of, you know, burning extra calories, that isn't the primary goal. In my opinion, your caloric deficit should come from just eating less overall. But you're gonna look better, in my opinion, than someone that just does powerlifting and does like straight cardio. It might be more enjoyable for you, right? And you can kind of knock out two birds with one stone. You're supplementing your powerlifting work, right? And you're getting a little bit extra. I mean, it's like minimal extra calories that you're burning. If you want to get into like, okay, but what about after the workout? That's I don't want to get too complicated. But anyway, injury prevention. Like I said, a lot of my really experienced lifters that are very successful, that are super jacked, we just don't get hurt. Me, I'm really good at listening to my body. I'm not saying I mean, I know that I'm like, I'm kind of wide right now. I'm not gonna lie, but I know that I've been training for many years. I know my body really well, and I'm not going to get hurt. I'm not. If I'm gonna get hurt, it's like at the very end of a meet prep, and it's because I'm being stubborn or I'm being dumb or I'm not listening to my body. But I'm really good at that. Keiko's really good at keeping himself healthy, and he like I said, all my people were doing extra. Everybody gets extra auxiliary work. Everybody, right? So Russ, Keiko, Amanda does tons of extra accessory work. You guys see her doing stuff. I don't. A lot of it I'm not programming for her, but it's like it's so like out there that I'm like, oh, this is not a big deal, right? It's not taking away from what we're doing. Mikey, right? I'm naming all super jacked people, right? A lot of my younger guys, like the goal is to people that have weak backs, for example. If you pull sumo, like primarily, and you don't mess with conventional, there is arguably no other movement in existence that's gonna put more muscle on you. Like per one movement, you got one movement. You have to build as much muscle as possible. It's probably gonna be deadlift. Pretty confident it's gonna be deadlift, and if you have a very strong conventional deadlift, like your body's just very accustomed to that lift and the muscles associated with that lift are big and strong, it's going to be really hard to get hurt doing anything else, right? It's just going to be hard. It's just not going to happen. You can have some structural problems like with just SI joint and intervertebral discs and like things like that. That can kind of get screwed up, but like you're not going to strain you're very less. It's extremely unlikely that you're going to like strain an erector or something on a low bar back squat, when you properly train those muscles and you're staying in the pocket and things like that. Of course, like everybody can, get hurt if you don't. I think where most people get hurt is like they just don't understand. Like for example, me many years ago when I transitioned from bodybuilding to powerlifting, I was always told like don't ever train deadlift. Like you should never deadlift from the ground. It's like so bad for you, right? Obviously these people don't know what they're talking about. So I had these like really strong legs from doing these big leg machines, right? Like leg press with like 50 million plates on it, whatever. And it was very obvious in my squat that I had a weak back and super strong legs, and I was always hurting my back because my legs were just so far ahead. And it was only when I committed to conventional that things started to even out. So now that I'm done rambling about that, what are some like practical setups, right? Like what does like a day look like? I mean, obviously if you work with me, you guys are already gonna know what's up, but I'm gonna just try to give you something here. So you're gonna have let's say we have a bench day, right? Bench press with a P. You have your bench press, right? Let's say you hit a single. You had a single at 8. And then you're going to hit some, I don't know, literally just going to put whatever, 3 by 6 out of 7. And then you're going to have close grip, bench. Let's say your comp grip is like super wide, right? So you're doing your wide bench, whatever. You have some close grip bench. What is this going to do? It's going to emphasize a different part of the pec, a slightly different part of the triceps. Obviously the range of motion is going to be a little bit more. People that compete with typically like more of a bodybuilding style bench, they're not going to need to bench as frequent because the damage they're going to inflict, the micro tears they're going to inflict on that close grip bench is going to be more significant than somebody who's just doing partials all the time. You might need to bench 6 times a week to match what a closer grip person with a big range of motion is going to have. Chad's making fun of me for misspelling. Okay, so you have your close grip bench. If you guys have seen what I do, if you guys work with me, you guys seen something like this before. And then, so now what do we hit here, right? We worked a little bit of anterior delts. We worked the medial head of the tricep, and we worked the pecs. Now, some supplemental movements, and typically what I like to do is you'll have 3 different bench days and 1 bench day because there's 3 big so we have, like I said, shoulders, triceps, pecs. 1 bench day, the accessories can emphasize shoulders. The next bench day, accessories can emphasize tricep. The next bench day, You really don't need to emphasize the pec. I typically don't, but you can, right? So let's give an example. If I wanted to add more shoulder work, I might give them seated dumbbell press, right? And then we want to finish off with, I don't know, lateral raises, right? So order of importance, right? This is the most important movement, second most important, and then the farther we get away, we get like, we're still pressing, and now we're getting like hella, you know, we're not specific at all. It has nothing to do with the comp lift. Might help with some stability, might help with some injury prevention, but like this can be optional. You know, it's just there. You could replace this if you wanted to switch over to triceps, right? You could do a jam press. You gotta be careful with those because they really jack up your elbows. Or you could do a tricep press down, right? And there you go, boom. So you have your bodybuilding. Like this is like what power building is, right? But like to me, you didn't have to put the name on it. It's just, this is just what's in a smart program, right? You're gonna supplement your competition lift. It's a very old style of training. There's a lot of people. The RPE is like a little bit newer, but like this idea of big compound lift, and you're getting further away, then you're getting further away, then you're getting further away from the compound lift, and just kind of going down the pyramid. Or if the compound lift is the base of the pyramid, you're gonna go up the pyramid to the smaller movement. Boom, there we go, right? Let me just do a quick example of like, so you have comp deadlift, right? Let's say you pull a sumo, right, which is going to be 99.999% of USAPL juniors, right? So you have sumo deadlift, and then you're gonna go we'll go barbell row, right? From a conventional stance, and then we got that. Oh my God, I'm nuts! Right? So thank you for the follow, brother. And then maybe you wanna get a little bit of decompression action. Wide grip, pull down, right? So we have our deadlift, then we have a form of a horizontal row. And then this is where you can kind of adjust it based on the lifter, right? If this lifter, I know their back is really torched from squatting, they typically squat with a little bit more narrow stance, and they're toasting, like they're just roasting the lower back. Maybe I shouldn't give them a barbell row because that's going to take away from the priority, which is the comp lift. So we're going to do a chest supported row, right? Or maybe a T-bar row, or maybe a single arm dumbbell row, or something like that, where they could just kind of give their posterior chain a break. And get some rowing action in, right? So again, this is really simple stuff. I mean, to me it's simple, but I want to make it simple for you guys. I want you guys to be able to take away from this. So yeah, practice setup, gave examples. Does the amount that you do change throughout your career? Yeah, so earlier on in your career, it's very important that younger lifters, especially juniors, that they're building these auxiliary muscles. They're getting a lot of bodybuilding work in. They're working the lats. They're constantly just building their body as a whole. And then when you get stupidly strong, when you get really up there in strength, you can start to ease up on it a little bit and really kind of get more specific, because one, you're going to be lifting more weight. Two, the amount that you give to the power lift is going to be possibly a little bit more demanding over time. It depends. It's going to change, and this is where it gets really varied. But I will tell you this: when we get close to meets, even my very jack-looking lifters, we cut a lot of stuff out. We reduce it significantly because we want most of our recovery to go to the comp lift, and a lot of the time, simply by removing auxiliary movements, you can get a lot more out of the power lift. They're not going to lose the foundation that they built in the last month coming up to the meet. And then the final point here: I don't know any champs that don't do anything extra. There's this like weird idea on the internet that some people think. I've never heard anybody not think that you don't need extra. Like it helps. It does help. But if you gotta go because you're gonna be late to class and you gotta skip it one day, it's fine. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. It does help. It shouldn't be a burden on anything. If anything, it can. I used to have days where I just go in and hit. I'll have a day dedicated where I'm just hitting back, right? and it's a very enjoyable day because it's like, okay, I don't need to worry about big weight. You know, you can kind of just sand it a little bit, not too much, right? Don't mess with your posterior chain. Don't mess with any of the lifts. Don't mess with any of the muscles that are getting super roasted. Like if I'm smashing bench and my pecs are destroyed, I'm not gonna go in and do pec flies. That's just dumb, right? So there's a balance. You know, they say no skinny champions. I mean, I kind of agree to a point, but yeah, bodybuilding stuff should be prescribed based on what you need. You can do less at certain times of your program. There's certain times where you should do more. And I think it is important, but it's not like I said, you're not gonna do curls and squat more, right? Just like you're not gonna do leg extensions and bench more. So, yeah, if you guys made it this far, thank you so much. A little bit, I feel like this video was long. Let me get a hashtag, no skinny champs, in the comments down below, and yeah, talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.